What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Shut Up,
Keep going.
a podcast where we explore our
Our
internet
curiosity.
curiosities. All right, y'all. So today, Kate is going to be giving her presentation, her episode. It's Kate's episode. And if you're watching us live on Twitch, which you guys, we record these most Mondays, most Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/SidSoGood. And so if you're watching this live, we are going to be recording 2 episodes back to back because we are not available next week to record. So yeah, let's get into it.
Marathon. Well, how are you doing?
Okay, dude. So this weekend was just like, we should have bought a lottery ticket because I feel like the odds of the things happening were so slim. So let's just start off
in a bad way, probably.
Bad,
the tone sounds like.
Yeah. So in a bad way, but then also the best case scenario of all the bad things worked out. So like,
okay.
So first, we're at a golf tournament, right? Alex and I are not playing on the same team. And to set the stage, so you tee off. Most people, I feel like, know when you golf and you're on the hole, tee off is the first shot, and you get to like put the ball on the tee and then you whack it like really hard, and usually that's like the shot that has like the most power behind it and goes the furthest, and you use this giant club and da 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 da. And so it's really important, golf etiquette, hitting up on somebody is when your ball is like getting around the people who are in front of you, who are playing in front of you, right? So Alex and his group had just teed off. They were on their second shot, and they were like 100 yards from the tee box, which is where you tee off. And somebody wasn't paying attention, and he teed off, and the ball hit Alex on the inside of his knee. Did not bounce. It just went straight from tee to getting hit to hitting the inside of his knee. And apparently he like went down for the count. Like it hit him and he just like fell over. And he was just like laying on the ground for like 10 minutes. And
oh no.
And no one thought to tell me, even though I was there and we were in the group ahead. And so then Alex finally texts me and he's like, "Hey, I got hit with a ball," and like they took me back to the clubhouse. Oh, black gold. You're Belinda, baby.
Wow. Okay.
So,
wait, that's so funny. I was there this weekend.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Well, at a different golf course, incidentally.
So, he gets taken back to the clubhouse, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna come in, like I'm gonna have somebody, like I'm gonna walk back to the clubhouse, and like we're gonna go, like. Yeah. We need to take care of this. Well, first I was like, how bad is it? And he was like, how bad is it for you? And I was like, no. How are you feeling? He's like, no, how are you feeling? And I'm like, no. Alex, focus. What is happening? So long story short, we end up leaving and going to urgent care. And I was like, oh, because I grew up in the Yorba Linda area. So I was like, oh, there's an urgent care over here. Like, let's go. And he was like, oh, actually, I'm looking at Google Maps and there's one like down the street. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. We can go to the closer one. So we go to the one down the street. And you know when you go to a doctor's office and there's like a kid's corner and it's usually like half-ass decorated and you're just like, okay, that's kind, I guess. So the kids corner is elaborate. It is Wizard of Oz themed, and there is a house, like a eighth of a house sticking out of the wall with like legs on the ground for, you know, who gets hit by the house, the witch or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is really elaborate. And so we're checking in, and I make a comment to the woman checking us in, and I'm like, wow, you guys, that's like such a cute kids corner, like it's decorated so nice. And she just kind of was like, yeah, okay. And so then she takes us back, and they open the door, and in the hallway there's little baskets hung from the top with the little dog in it. So it's just so elaborate, and I'm thinking like, wow, they really went all in on this like decorating. That's so weird. And so we get to our room, and it's apparently the Courage the Cowardly Lion room. And so there is a life-size cutout of whoever the actor is that played the lion in his lion costume, like life-sized. He was like a 6-foot man. And they have like all of these pictures everywhere. They have a framed t-shirt of a lion dabbing that says courage on the top. And so Alex and I, because, you know, you wait for the doctor for a while. And so we're sitting there and we're both kind of like, this is getting kind of weird. Like, why is it so decorated? And turns out it was a pediatric urgent care.
I was about to say that. I was like,
it was for children.
Sure? Oh no! But the front desk people were like, "Come on in."
Nobody said anything to us. I mean, you know, pediatricians.
Like this large child.
Yeah, well, like full grown adult. Like there is no, like we are married. There's no mystery as to whether or not because you know, I feel like there's some people who like saw their pediatrician until they were like 18. Like, yeah, sure, especially guys, because I feel like as a girl you end up kind of upgrading since they look at like your lady parts, but I feel like men, it's like
our bodies upgrade.
So yeah, we ended up going to a pediatrician and he's fine. They thought that he tore his MCL. They don't think so anymore, which is great. That is fantastic news. And he is now able to kind of hobble around, which is good because before he couldn't walk. So like I said, kind of best case scenario for just like this super haphazard thing that's like so uncommon in golf to actually get hit by a ball, let alone like line drive into the leg.
Holy shit. I think I would say for Alex, my advice is in the next decades, if, you know, reconstruction surgery gets really well, you can replace all your bones with like titanium. Alex should do it because it seems like he's always injured.
He is.
Not even by his own volition, but like sometimes by these freak accidents.
Yeah, I feel like he has a lot of good luck. He has a lot of, I don't know what you should call that. Like he has a lot of good luck and then whatever the opposite, I guess whatever the opposite of good luck is. He just has a lot of it. Like there's both on the good and bad. Like he has a lot of luck.
Yeah. I mean, life's a big balance.
It's a big balance.
I've said it many times.
Well, so not to monopolize the beginning of talking about our weekend, but so that was on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we were like, let's go see Uncharted. So we go to a movie, right? And movie gets out. And, you know, I feel kind of ashamed of it for some reason. But like, you check your phone. Like, first thing, movie's out. I check my phone, make sure I didn't miss anything. And I see that we have like security cameras, and I see that we have our security camera, and I'm kind of confused because I'm like, it's like 10 p.m. Nobody should be on our front, like in front of our apartment. And it looked like they were on our porch. And I was like, that's weird. And again, I have so much shame. We get our laundry sent out. So our laundry got delivered. And I see this guy taking our laundry and Alex keeps a skateboard or sometimes out there because, you know, he'll skateboard around, and taking Alex's skateboard. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I look at Alex and I'm like, I think I'm watching somebody steal our stuff right now. And it was like this lagging thing where I was like, like it was just so brazen. Like they literally just walked up and grabbed our stuff like it was their stuff. And so then Alex is like, okay, I'm going to call the police. And so he's calling the police. I'm getting the car. Alex jumps in and he's like, drop me off. I'm going to go and find this person. And I'm like, you can't walk.
It's like, I'll figure it out.
He was like, adrenaline. Like, I'm fine. Like, the adrenaline's pumping. Like, I'm just going to go find this guy. Like, he couldn't have been that far. Because it was like, the movie luckily wasn't terribly far from us. And I was driving like a maniac trying to get back. And the guy, he went back for Alex's skateboard. So he grabbed our laundry and then came back like 10 minutes later for the skateboard. Why? I don't know. And also, did you not see the camera? And so we knew he was still around because when he came back for the skateboard, we were already like almost home. And so Alex was like, drop me off. And I was like, no. And then he's like, yes. And I was like, okay, I can't fight you. And so I'm literally letting him out. And I'm like, oh my God, Alex is going to get killed. Like, what is happening? So stressful. And so then I drop my car and Alex is like, I'm like over here, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Okay, and so I'm sprinting. Like I'm like running. I think I ran like a mile, and we had just finished seeing this like, Uncharted like action like popcorn flick where they're like running through the streets, and I was just like, I'm Uncharted, and I was just like sprinting down the street trying to find
The power of cinema.
the power
I've said
of
it many
cinema.
times.
Well, actually, wait, before I left, because I parked our car and then I was leaving, I was like, I should grab a weapon. But like I didn't want to bring like anything that seemed too sketchy. Like I didn't want to grab like a giant kitchen knife because that felt illegal. Is that illegal?
To wield a kitchen knife?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
Really?
so.
Because I feel like if it's in your apartment, it's legal. But like I was running through the street. Like, could you imagine? I'm running through the street with a kitchen knife, just like.
I mean, I think that's one of those things where like your intent is you're not like going around slashing people. Unless there's another part of the story you're not letting
I didn't slash anybody. But so I grabbed a box. I had like a box knife with me, and like, LA at night isn't the best. And so every time I saw somebody sketchy, I like would pull the knife out and just be like, get out of my way. And long story short, I end up following Alex's. He didn't tell me where he was because he didn't want me to be out there. And so we have our location tracking on. And so I like location tracked him, and I run up and I was like, oh my God. And there's like 5 cop cars, and they're all getting back in, and Alex has our stuff. They found it, and they also found, so they found like a whole stash. So they found our stuff. The person must have been stealing from like a lot of people's just like front yards or whatever. And so the cops, though, I guess were in pursuit of this guy. They found him, were in pursuit, and one of the cops like fell or something, and he blew out his knee. So technically that increases it to a felony because of whatever the law is of like escape, like trying to run from cops, but then the cop got injured. So that's technically like assault on a cop.
Wow.
And so it's a felony. And the guy, so they were getting back in the car, and they were like, we called helicopters, like blah, blah, blah. Like we're getting this guy, because they were pissed because like one of their people got hurt. And we're like, well, what do we do with all this stuff? And they're like, you guys should just take it all and like figure out, like we can figure out what to do with it after. But then nobody's called us. So now we just like have all this stuff.
Oh, you took all the stuff that he stole.
Yeah. Because they were like, we don't want to keep it here because if he's working with other people, then like, they were like, we're not telling you what to do. But basically they like implied that if he's working with other people, then they don't want him to like get away with having all of the stuff that he stole. But then we're like, but we have it now.
Yeah, that weird. What is it? What kind of stuff is it? Good
we don't
stuff?
want to touch it. So we haven't really, because he had like this big basket situation and like basket and cart situation. And the other thing was, it didn't look like it was somebody who was homeless. Like the camera footage was really, like we have camera footage and then our neighbors also have cameras. And so we got like a clear look at him, and he just looks like a normal dude. Like he's wearing like a tucked in sweater.
What?
Yeah.
What was he gonna do with your laundry?
Right?
That has to be such an annoying thing if that actually got stolen, because it's like
our laundry. It has my underwear.
I need
in
my
it.
socks.
Yeah, it's literally it's like
on.
socks and underwear and like my workout clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts. It would have hurt Alex more because I don't know. I don't like wash my clothes a lot.
Love that for you. I don't either. I feel like it's a guy thing.
Because I just feel like men.
Like, I'll rewear stuff.
Well, and I just feel like men like smell. I don't know. Like it doesn't. They just like have more of a scent. I don't know. It just smells stronger.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I'll like wear my clothes and then be like, did I sweat? No. Like, and then I'll just give it a nice sniff, and then I'll be like,
yeah,
it's fine.
Wow, I'm glad you got it back.
Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of wild. Like all of this stuff that is unfortunate happened, but then like best case scenario kind of also happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it definitely though took me out of it a little bit, because like I love LA and like I have no intention of moving out, but it definitely made me kind of be like, dude, fuck this. Like take me anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because like Alex's car has gotten broken into. Granted, this is, along the stretch of like 5 years. But like the whole time that we've lived here, which I guess I never had anything stolen when I was living downtown, but like Alex's car's gotten broken into over 10 times, and they've obviously taken stuff when that's happened. We had our bikes stolen twice. Somebody came back and stole Alex's golf shoes. This happened. And then when we were moving,
anything really happened to me here.
I mean, knock on wood. I hope you don't. But like when we were moving, people took our boxes. So we missed. We like just had like 2 boxes stolen.
Yeah, crazy.
Right? It just feels like gross too.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's hard. Because it's like, obviously the person that's committing it is like, you know, the human part of you is like, they're probably experiencing something tough, but it's also just like, come on, people.
Don't make it my problem.
Yeah. Go to some like billionaire's house. I don't know.
Right?
I mean, they're probably doing that.
No, totally. Well, did you see that? Not to like get this. This is like such a bummer of a way to start an episode, but it happened a couple weeks ago. It was like this old couple, and they got shot like point blank in a robbery.
Yeah, this woman. Yeah, so sad.
It was so sad. And I want to say, I don't know if they were billionaires, but they were definitely like well-known, like very rich people.
I read that. Let me look this up to confirm. But there's this rapper named Pop Smoke, and that's how he died. Someone just like broke into his house and shot him because they were like trying to rob him.
People are so brazen.
So sad?
It's so sad.
Like, not that, I mean, murder in general is terrible, but for like shit. Well, you know, like for like stealing stuff.
The entitlement to your stuff, that they're like, oh, like I deserve to have the things that you own, or like to take your things, so I'm just going to kill you to get it. Like, huh?
Throughout history, I feel like we've learned that that's not the best way to go about these things.
I'm going to say not. But on that note, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to the Casey Musgraves concert last night.
Oh, that's where you went. I'm happy for you. I know you're such a big fan.
I am. Well, I am and I am. I didn't love her new album, I have to say. But then hearing it live made me like it a lot.
Okay.
So her album before, just to get a little into Casey Musgrave more.
I don't know anything. I've only listened to those, like, I think you sent me 2 songs. I know nothing about her.
It's definitely not for everyone. I accept that. But her album before this one, she won the Grammy for. It's called Golden Hour. It's so beautiful. It's like one of my favorite albums of all time.
Wait, what was the Grammy for?
Album of the Year.
Wait, really?
Yeah, 3 years ago. And it's like just this beautiful album about like being in love and the world being amazing. And I just feel like we don't have a lot of stuff, positive stuff like that. And so it was really like, it was very meaningful to a lot of people. And then in the pandemic, she got divorced.
Okay, so I did see that, yeah.
Which, like, I obviously don't know her. She, like, it's fine. But I was really affected by it because I loved this album about her love so much that when she got divorced, I literally cried and asked Caleb, I was like, does this mean love doesn't exist?
No, I think
because
that's fair.
The album was so like, oh, like she really knows. And then when that happened, I was like, I literally was like, am I gonna get divorced someday?
Yeah.
So then her new album is about being divorced because she just writes music about her life. And it seemed a little like she hadn't fully processed, but still made art that was like saying she fully processed it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But hearing her perform them last night, she's a superstar and it was fun. And like literally, it was at the crypto.com arena. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It does not. Well, because like .com, like couldn't they have just called it like Crypto Arena? I get why not. But like that'd be like if it was instead of the Staples Center, it was called Staples.com Center. Like it's like, hey, like let's get some free advertising in for that.
It's like, okay, if you type in crypto into it's gonna come up. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's probably like it's crypto.com. Like it will pop up.
But I haven't been to like obviously in that big a space with that many people in a very long time. I've been to a concert, but not like an arena show. And it was really everyone, I mean, people like the people that are her fans, like love her. There's a very
it's like a Lady
distinct,
Gaga type like fan base, yeah.
So it was really kind of beautiful to be in a room with that many amount of people that were just like, this is so meaningful to me. And she's stunning. So it was good. And the craziest lights I've ever seen. I think in the pandemic when we didn't have concerts, they were like, all right, boys, back to the drawing board. Let's figure out how to make these concerts crazy when we come back. Because the lighting they were using, and like her stage was a screen. Like she was standing on a screen. It was like so cool. So it's fun.
I think that like I don't know how you would get into that, but I feel like I would love nothing more than to be somebody who like comes up with the concept for somebody's tour and like all of the like,
you know who does that?
Merch and lighting and stage design.
Yeah. Mrs. Mooney's daughter.
Really? That's what she transitioned to? Because I remember she was doing like branding stuff.
Yeah, now that's what she does for like musical artists. She makes all of their like visuals for their concerts and she like creative directs all their music videos, and it's like such a cool job.
That's so cool. Yeah, I know a few people. We know this one couple, and the guy, I mean, no, we like met them at a party once. And he does the visuals for like Kanye. Which it was cool, but I feel like he was so in it. It was like hard to understand what he was talking about. And then this other guy I know who does a lot of the like big names I've met because he did one of the shows that I was hosting.
Oh, cool.
But it just seems so cool.
Yeah. Maybe someday that's what we'll transition into doing.
Yeah, I would love that.
I could kind of see that for us, honestly.
Yeah, no, totally. I would love that. It just seems so fun.
Yeah.
Except I don't know how it would be. Oh, sorry. We were almost transitioning. We were so close to transitioning. I was going to say, I just don't know how it would be, though. Like, I mean, I guess to a certain extent, both of us have had to do it. But, like, I feel like sometimes artists, like musical artists, like they just can be divas or whatever. Or, like, they have, like, a very specific vision in mind. And you kind of just have to, like, sell them on your vision.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would be less like my vision, their vision. It would be you as a creative professional are trying to like
elevate,
strengthen. Yeah.
But sometimes they can't see it. And you know what? Do you know what's elevated? Space.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's talk about space and dogs.
Woof, woof.
And Sydney, cue up the first picture.
Okay.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be speaking about the Soviet space dogs. This is we're going to get into this specific dog, but I just want to set a visual tone before what's going to be talked about. This is Laika. Laika. Laika.
Laika.
And they were one of the most famous space dogs of all time.
So the whole time I've been looking at this, I have thought that also for everybody listening, our image guide is up on Shut Up Keep Going, all one word, over on Instagram. So if you want to see these photos, you can check them out. I was looking at it and thinking that the dog, like, so the head, right? And then there's those two kind of like leg things on the bottom, but they're the leg things for the machine. But I was thinking that the dog was half robot.
Oh, that'd be so cute.
But it's actually just like laying, yeah.
Okay, I just realized a hole in my research, and I'm just gonna say it up at the top.
Okay.
So you don't have to ask me. I'm not sure if this is the full space capsule or if this is part of a larger one.
Okay, got it,
I
got it.
realize I should have looked that up, but we're just going to be talking more about the dog's role in this whole thing. Um, so I am going to say, if you are one of those people that cries at movies where dogs die, this is going to be sad. I mean, it's sad in general, but just be aware of that. um, so Sydnee,
Yes.
we're in the middle of the 21st century, meaning no, the 20th century.
I
God,
don't
it's so
understand how we
confusing.
count
Okay.
centuries, so
We're in 1950s-esque.
okay.
Okay. So a cosmonaut ran away a day before his flight, like an astronaut, right?
Okay.
The training had been really intense for them. The food was terrible, and they hadn't even signed up for it at all.
Oh, okay.
Guess who it was?
Not
It was a
Leica.
dog. No, it wasn't this dog.
Like a
This
dog, not
dog.
this one.
So, the researchers at the Institution of Aviation Medicine in Moscow rushed to find a replacement for this runaway dog. And so they plucked a stray dog off the street and named it Zib, which is an acronym for a substitute for a missing bulbik. It's in Russian, so that's why the acronym doesn't in English work out to Zib. But which means it's a common name for a small dog, a bobik in Russian.
Wait, they just like found a dog on the street and were like, "You're going to space, bitch."
Yeah. And so the dog was placed inside a capsule, strapped to a rocket, and blasted to the edge of space. And it returned in one piece.
It returned. It came back?
So this is the one, I should look this up. I am confused if it survived or if it just returned in one piece and it was dead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe we don't need to know.
I think
Cuz like do they send it with like food and water? Like
yeah, they do.
How do they make sure it's not just like strapped, like gravity is like making, you know how we see like in movies the toothpaste
We're gonna get
floating?
into that. We're gonna get into that.
Oh my gosh.
It's really unclear if Zib survived. It said that it made a successful flight, so I'm assuming it did, but like I mean, you know.
It's probably really traumatized. Like no. How does it even process what's happening?
So this flight happened in September 1951, and the Soviet Union was developing a program to launch men into space. And dogs were the test subjects of that.
Okay.
And as you know, through history class, the US also was really trying to get into space.
Space race, baby.
The friggin' space race. And they were conducting their own research, but instead of using dogs, they were using primates like monkeys and chimpanzees. So if you don't know, there's this thing called the space race that happened. And it began really intensely in August 1955 when the Soviet Union responded to an American announcement that Americans were planning to launch into space. That the Soviets were like, hey, yeah, we're doing that too, but like real soon. And so that started this competition, and the USSR launched Sputnik on October 4th, 1957. And that made Americans feel real bad because we hadn't done it yet. And so thus the space race. So if you didn't know, humans had lived all of history on Earth.
Oh, you don't say.
I wrote that down. And up until this point, we had no idea how like life was going to respond to anything that's not on Earth, like that doesn't have the same amount of gravity, especially weightlessness. So some physicians at the time thought basic functions like swallowing and pumping blood to the heart would be impossible without the steady tug of gravity. And so the goal for the Cold War rivals was to kind of figure out the answer to that. And so, like in many laboratory tests, they were like, let's not use humans first. let's use animals, which obviously I'm just gonna say this up front. There's so many ethical boundaries being crossed there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that goes without saying.
I mean, we've all seen Legally Blonde too. It's
come on,
an important issue. And I say that it's a really important issue.
So, where was I? So, the question is, I guess, I don't know if this question is burning for you, but it's like, why did the Soviets use dogs when the Americans used chimpanzees?
Yeah, actually, that's a good.
And it's actually the most obvious answer you think. It's that dogs were everywhere in Russia. They were, the Moscow streets were crowded with stray dogs, and they were free volunteers, which is really sad. So apparently the big question was how to catch them. And so there was this really bizarre scene that was happening where like all these members of the space program were just running around the streets trying to catch dogs.
I hope they got bit.
But like the thing is too is that like they didn't want to get dogs like catch dogs that were super aggressive or like not willing to be caught. So they like zeroed in on like nice dogs that would like, you know, be well behaved to do this, which is just like, come on.
But actually I think that that's a good like life lesson. Like I don't know why I watched these. I want kids someday. But I feel like I like learn all these things and I'm like, oh, I need to remember to tell my future kids this. But I was reading this thing and it was like life tips and like street smarts, and they were saying if you ever get lost, or I guess it's in real life too, is that it's like if you ever get lost, like you should go find somebody else with, this was advice for children. If you get lost, then you should go find somebody else who has kids and ask them for help because they'll help you. Because if somebody comes and asks you for help, the likelihood that there's somebody who has like bad intentions, or not ask you for help, but ask if you need help, the likelihood that they are somebody with bad intentions and are just like preying on someone who looks helpless is like, you know, higher than if you pick somebody out from a crowd and like ask for help.
Yeah. I mean,
only tangentially related to what we were saying, but
like, yeah, okay. So the Soviet Union has a long tradition of using dogs in research. And at the turn of the century, there was work by Ivan Pavlov about using canines to discover the learning process known as classical conditioning, which is about a stimulus and a response. That's how they were using dogs for that. And then he also used dogs to study canine digestion, and I think like human digestion in general, which was that his subjects would drool before they were even given meat, meaning that they kind of understood that they were about to get food, and so they started salivating, which is interesting.
Pavlovian response, baby.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
It's like that episode of The Office for people listening where Jim trains Dwight to start salivating every time, what is it, something clicks or whatever. He offers him a mint and then he keeps doing that, and then he stops offering a mint and the click happens, and I think Dwight's like, oh my gosh, my mouth is so like chalky, like I need a mint.
Yeah. Well, that was learned through dogs, so let's thank them. And so on the American front, primates were used, as I said, but they were like way harder to find and acquire. You couldn't just go out onto the street and get a chimpanzee. So they were brought over from the Congo region in Africa, and the Air Force was conducting their first primate flights before NASA was established. And paying catchers in Africa to collect dozens of young chimps.
That's even worse. I feel like at least the dogs were already there. Where the chimpanzees, you're like taking. Why'd they choose chimps? Did they say, like, did they already know that there was such a like connection between?
It's the closest animal.
Okay, so they did already know that, and we're kind of like using that. Okay.
But sadly, like a lot of the chimps, because they were young and being flown across the world, they would arrive at the Air Force Base in New Mexico where they did a lot of the tests in like really bad shape. And um, 8 of the 9 veterinarians that worked with them contracted hepatitis from the chimps, which is kind of crazy. Um, so, anyways, when the chimps were 2 years old, the researchers said that they were just like kids and they would play with them. One of the researchers remembers getting a call at home about flickering lights inside one of the buildings, and when he arrived, he had found that one of the chimps opened a padlock, escaped his cage, and helped another chimp get out of his own.
As he should.
They were running around the lab, flipping light switches and pulling chemical wipes from their container one by one as if they were Kleenex tissues. They're so smart. Um, so not only, like I just said, that they use them because they're close to humans, they also, as we know, have a very high intelligence. And so the chimps, unlike dogs, could like do like tasks while in space. So they could like pull levers and like respond to like switches and stuff. And they were hoping to see if you could remain conscious and actually like complete a task while weightless. And so this is also kind of sad, but the chimps were taught to push levers in a certain sequence prompted by flashing lights. If they got it wrong in training, they received a mild electric shock to their feet. For correct moves, they were rewarded with banana pellets. So. But during the short flights, when they were being flown around by the Air Force, they would touch the levers from launch to re-entry, like they were like simulating the flight. So on the other hand, dogs couldn't manage those kind of duties, but the Soviets, that's not really what they were looking for. The first man in space, if you knew this, was a Russian guy named Yuri Gagarin, which really interesting. He died under like really mysterious circumstances. They say he died in a plane crash, but there's conspiracy theories that like he knew too much and was
interesting. Like knew
I
too
was
much
gonna get
about
into that,
what? I want to know. Get into it at some point. I want to know.
maybe I'll return to that one. But when he was flew to space, he was equipped with controls that could be activated from the ground. And his manual controls could only be used in case of emergency. So he basically too was kind of just launched and like he's like, I hope you pilot this right from down there.
I don't know that I would trust the Russian government to like have my back.
I mean, but at the same time, they want him to return in one piece because that'll prove their point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, he died young under mysterious circumstances. So, like, if it wasn't then, it might be soon. But the first American to achieve the same milestone, Alan Shepard, handled dozens of switches, buttons, and levers in his capsule. So, Legion of Honor. Not to continue.
Are you trying to ignite another space race?
Yeah, no. It's already happening in the private sector, right?
Yeah.
So the Soviets did consider using primates, and they would visit circuses and ask monkey handlers. They're like, so, how do you think these things would do if we like launched them into space? And the circus people were like, yeah, don't do that because they're very high strung and they'll not survive the stress. And they're like, okay, what we should do? Let's get some nice, cute dogs and see if they can do it. So the training for the animals in both countries was really intense. And apparently there's a comprehensive history, if you're curious, by Colin Burgess and Chris Stubbs. And if you can imagine, it would be considered animal abuse these days, just because they're like really harsh circumstances. So the Soviet dogs were restrained in small containers for hours to simulate the confinement of spaceflight. Do you want to put up the second picture? Because I feel like it kind of, it's this little thing. They were exposed to loud banging noises and spun around in centrifuges to mimic the extremes of spaceflight. from launch to landing. And stray dogs, not only because they were found like in, they were around, were chosen because scientists felt that they would be able to tolerate the rigorous and extreme stresses of spaceflight, because better than like house dogs, because house dogs live a good life.
But also, were they gonna go
cutie dogs for living a scrappy life?
But I feel like that's funny to me that they're like, yeah, like we were considering just like going and abducting people's pets, but though we thought they'd be too soft, so like we went a different way.
Yeah, we need some street dogs for this. Female dogs were used because of their temperament and because the suit that the dogs wore in order to collect urine and feces were equipped with a special device that was only designed to work with females. And so when they were in orbit, they were fed a nutritious jelly-like protein that was high in fiber to like assist with their bowels. Because apparently that's a huge thing when you fly, is you get real backed up.
I don't know why I could like see it, just because I feel like when I travel, like my digestion kind of like slows and things are just like doing weird things, so I could see it.
Yeah, I agree. When you travel, it's like your whole system gets, I know. So the Americans did their first test flights in 1948 with a rhesus monkey. I should have pulled a picture, but they're like those cute little monkeys that you see. They're not chimpanzees. They're like monkeys.
Yes.
And okay, you ready for the sad?
There's worse?
Well, no, it's just like we're going to talk about how they died. So the first 6 were died of suffocation, explosions in flight, or upon impact.
Kate!
I know, I'm sorry. But here's the good news. When they finally started using chimpanzees, some of them survived. So the first chimpanzee, I think you can put the next picture. I think it should be a chimpanzee in a little. Oh no, go to the next one. Yeah, look at him. He has a little NASA hat. I mean, I hate it.
I just keep going. I had no comment at this time.
Okay. The first chimp in space, I think this is him.
Okay.
He recovered from a successful flight to the boundary of where space begins. And so one of the researchers said he was in mint condition.
Mint condition?
And he went on to live in zoos until he died in 1983.
We love that. But also, this guy's seen shit. He was taken from his family.
I know.
Forced to go into space.
It's so sad.
And then live in captivity.
It's against God. So Anos, the second and last chimp to fly. So I guess we only flew 2. He survived the journey, but died several months later of a bacterial infection that they claim was unrelated to spaceflight. But I'm saying there's a conspiracy there.
I'll sign the document. I think it's a conspiracy.
So, in June 1961, 2 months after Yuri Gagarin, who was the first man in space to fly, President JFK and Soviet Premier Khrushchev held their first joint summit in Vienna. And by all accounts, it was a difficult meeting because this is the height of the Cold War. But during dinner, ladies come to save the day once again. Jackie Kennedy started talking to a Soviet leader about their space dogs. And the Soviet leader mentioned that one of the dogs had puppies, and Jackie asked if she could be sent one of the puppies. And so a few weeks later, one of the puppies showed up at the White House with a little Russian passport. You can put up the picture before, and that's, look. And so after being screened by the FBI for surveillance bugs, the dog Pushinka took up residence in the White House. And JFK was allergic to dogs. But the Pushinka spent time with the children and became very friendly with
Oh.
another White House dog, Charlie, and the canine couple ended up having puppies. And it's kind of a Cold
Oh.
War romance, dare we
Oh,
say.
wow. The modern, well, I guess it's not modern day anymore, but modern day Romeo and Juliet.
It's for real. Oh my God. It's probably in the works in development that this is an animated series, but like, come on. You want to see the love story of these two
Writes
dogs.
itself.
I know. And so
And they
two of
already
the
have, wait, they already have probable cause as to what happened to its parents. You know how in those animated movies, like their parents are always dead?
yeah.
You know
I
why?
mean, I feel like the thing writes itself. I think that's screenlit. Um, and so two of Pushinka puppies, nicknamed Pupknicks by the president, like Sputnik. They were donated to American children who wrote to Jackie Kennedy asking if they could look after the dogs, which is cute. And when Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, Pushinka was given to a White House gardener and then gave birth to another litter of puppies. So she was a loose
Wow.
woman, let's just say.
Yeah, geez, get your dogs
um,
fixed.
so one of these writers has like tried to track down the lineage of these puppies and they haven't been able to, but
Oh,
they want to assume that they're still descendants of the space dogs in America
yeah.
now.
I feel like that checks out. I think the probability of that is high.
Yeah. I mean, they used a lot. So I think it was I didn't get the exact number, but like it was a fair amount and a lot of them. Well, we're going to get into that in a second. So, there's a lot of like lore around these space dog these days. There's apparently one of them is a Marvel character. Did you know this?
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
in Guardians of the Galaxy. There's
Yeah.
like
There's like a
um
dog. It's like not like a, I don't know how much it is in the comics, but he's like in a museum.
yeah. Um
Oh, so that was supposed to be one of the space dogs. They like found
yeah.
him. That's
Yeah.
really sweet.
Yeah. So soak that in because I'm about to tell you the sad story of our first boy. You can put back up the first picture. Um Laika. I think that's how you pronounce it. Laika. So Laika was the first dog to go beyond the edge of space and complete an orbit of Earth. And
Do you think
I
that
feel like I should skip the details because it's so
do
sad.
you think she enjoyed the view?
Let's give her that. Like you know how dogs love sticking their head out the window in a
Yeah.
car? Like she got that, but like times 10.
Uh,
Yeah. So, Laika was really stressed out when she was launched, I'll just say. And she died not long after the launch, so she didn't totally survive the orbit, but like her body did. Because she died from excessive heat in the Capitol in 1958. But she's like the big like face of the Soviet space dogs. If you ever see like a poster for them, they have them like on Etsy that you can buy. It's always her face because look how goddamn cute she is.
she's very cute.
Um, and so I mean, this probably might be propaganda, but in 1998, after the collapse of the Soviet regime, Oleg Gaznyko, who was one of the scientists responsible for sending Laika into space, said this: working with animals is a source of suffering to all of us. We treat them like babies who cannot speak. The more time passes, the more sorry I'm about it. We shouldn't have done it. We did not learn enough from the mission to justify the death of the dog. So, I mean, you know.
Remorse.
So the Soviet Union stopped launching dogs in 1960s, and the United States ended its program kind of around them, except for two squirrel monkeys who joined the astronauts on a space shuttle flight in 1985, and they survived. So great.
Okay, that's
Um,
good.
and apparently they trained enough chimps for almost every astronaut that has been trained like in that era, like the amount of astronauts they were training, they had like a chimp as
Like
a
it was like
back.
1-to-1.
Yeah.
Wow.
So once the first humans got into space and saw that weightlessness wasn't going to kill you immediately, that it was actually extremely pleasant, they stopped launching the chimpanzees because they were like, all
That's
right,
good.
we got it. So now we still do send animals into space.
What?
And I think you can guess what they are. Little mice. And
I didn't know
because
that. Why? We already have all the info. We don't need any more. Focus on what's going on down here.
well, so here's what it is. And I mean, this is why like mice are used in laboratory testing. It's really sad, but it's because instead of having like one chimpanzee and like you just only get the data from one, you can get like a bunch of mice and see like larger patterns. So they do that. And they did that a lot in the 1970s. And a handful of mice went on to the moon on Apollo 17.
Oh.
And like and apparently there's mice that are running around the International Space Station
Okay.
that have been used there for research purposes.
Okay.
So on April 11th, 2008, Russian officials unveiled a monument to Laika. And it's a small honor that was built near the military research facility in Moscow. And it portrays a dog standing on top of a rocket. And she also appears on the monument to the conquerors of space, also in Moscow.
That's
I should
really
have pulled a
nice.
picture of
I
that.
feel like
But so
Leica
at
would
least
like that.
she gets to live on
Mm-hmm.
in infamy. But you know,
Do you know what I think she'd like more than her monument?
have a good life
To
and be a
not
good
have
boy.
been sent into space.
That's so true. Here, I'll send you the monument so we can all see. But that is the Soviet space dogs. So at least, you know, I don't know. There's no real. It's sad.
At least it's not. We're doing them. I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard
Hard to stomach. I mean, like, I don't want to get into the ethics of it because I don't really know where I stand. Like, it's like one of those things where I'm a scientist. I did science, like I was like knee deep, chest deep in science. I majored in biology, had to take a lot of labs and read a lot of papers and research. And so it's tough because like on one end I like understand the pursuit of knowledge and the means to get there, and I guess like I get why. I understand the train of thinking that it's like, okay, like why would we like we know humans have this like wide spectrum of emotions, like we know what it means to be human, so like why would we do that to them, and like we need this knowledge. Like I don't know, it's just
yeah,
but then obviously I mean like I'm vegetarian, like I don't eat animals for like a reason because like that's where my head is at, and so like I don't support animal testing. Like it's
yeah,
I don't know what the answer is. I don't have the answer. I mean, ideally it would be really cool if we could synthesize like not beings, not like clone people and like test the clones. That's a whole other conversation of ethics. But like if you could synthesize, like if you're trying to do work or understand like the digestive system, you could just like synthesize just like the digestive system and see what happens with that. So
yeah, I'm not. I was like, should I get into? I'm like, Monday. Okay.
it is Monday morning.
The ethics of it. But I will say what inspired researching this was also yesterday I had a pretty exciting day.
Oh.
Not only did I go to the Casey Musgraves concert, but I also went to the Museum of Jurassic Technology. Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
It's in Culver City, and it's this really crazy museum. And I don't even want to say like what it is because that's the like fun of going there, is that it's like really mysterious and like there's not a lot about it online. Like it's really
Museum.
it's a museum about understanding knowledge, I guess is how I would say.
Ooh, I want to go.
And it's you like it's so fun because you're like not they're like strictly no cell phones. You cannot take pictures.
No way.
Yeah, and so like it's like you have to go there to experience it, and there's like music playing in every room that's like choral music, so it sounds really mysterious and it's really
Ooh.
fun. But they have this hall of portraits of the Soviet space dogs there. And that's
Oh.
something I was like, oh my God, I forgot about them. So I thought that'd be a good topic. But yeah, that's a hot tip about LA. It's a really cool museum.
Museum of Jurassic Technology. I wrote it down.
Highly
I want to go.
recommend. Yeah.
I love museums. Isn't it wild that anyone could just like open a museum? Like I could just like buy like rent a space and like put some like water bottles in there and be like, this is the museum of like water bottles. Like it's just a museum now. Like is there like a federation or anything?
I don't know. I worked for a museum in San Francisco that is called Pier 24 Photography, and it was literally just like this super, super rich guy who owned all these photos and was like, I feel like I should show them to people. Like, I can't have these all in my house. And so he just opened a museum and it was free to go.
Oh,
And it
that's
was like
nice.
so beautiful. So I feel like they're a good effect of rich people.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you,
That's my
Kate.
days.
I had
Of
fun
course.
learning about, well,
These
knowledge
good.
is important. I don't know that I would say I had fun learning about it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show you that dogs are not just beautiful companions. They serve a higher purpose
They
too.
do. They do.
So I'll leave us on that.
All right. Well, folks, don't forget new episode every Friday. I think we already mentioned it today, but we have image guides that go up at the same time as the episodes over on our Instagram. That's Shut Up Keep Going, all one word. We also have our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/shutupkeepgoing, where you can watch the video version of the podcast in case you don't or aren't able to watch us record it live on Twitch. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.